Now, over to Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe's Emmerson Mnangagwa is reported to have returned home from South Africa to take charge of the government. Now, the developments in Zimbabwe come after the military placed President Robert Mugabe under house arrest in the capital, Harare, and deployed tanks to the streets of the capital. Now, troops were reportedly stationed at the country's parliament and the presidential palace. But in a dramatic televised statement, an army spokesperson denied that a military takeover was underway.
With several tanks seen on the streets of Zimbabwe moving near its capital Harare on Tuesday, media outlets were awash with conflicting reports of a coup to overthrow Robert Mugabe, who has been in power for the last 37 years. Zimbabwe's military that seized power, including the state television early today, targeting what they termed as criminals around President Mugabe, however, gave assurances on the state broadcaster that the 93-year-old leader and his family were safe and sound.
We wish to assure the nation that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, and his family are safe and sound, and their security is guaranteed. We are only targeting criminals around him who are committing crimes that are causing social and economic suffering in the country in order to bring them to justice.
This comes as uncertainty surrounds Harare after President Mugabe's decision to fire his Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa last week in favor of his wife prompted a warning of possible military intervention from the former army chief. Mnangagwa has clashed repeatedly with 52-year-old First Lady Grace Mugabe, who has widely been seen as vying to replace her husband when he retires.
There is a plan by the same individuals to influence the current purging which is taking place in the political sphere to the civil service. We are against that act of injustice, and we intend to protect everyone of you against that.
In a statement, South Africa's President Jacob Zuma office said, and I quote, President Zuma spoke to President Robert Mugabe earlier today, who indicated that he was confined to his home, but said that he was fine. End of quote. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari on his Twitter account called for calm and respect in the wake of military takeover in Zimbabwe. Mugabe is despised in the West as a leader whose disastrous handling of the economy and willingness to resort to violence to maintain power has destroyed one of Africa's most promising states.
If there is this implosion, the implosion is good for the citizenry of Zimbabwe.
The UK Foreign Office advised Britons currently in Harare to remain safely in their accommodations until the situation becomes clear, while the US Embassy advised US citizens in Zimbabwe to shelter in place until further notice. But even as it seems like Mugabe's once loyal Deputy President Emmerson Mnangagwa may be poised to take control, the question is whether the many foreign governments will give him the benefit of doubt and hope that he will restore Zimbabwe from what has been termed as decades of misrule. Cecilia Kesho, KTN News.